uh, 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 okay. I need to wear a pair of cargo pants. Just for outside. Now that weather is getting nice, we wanna go out and do some outdoor research in the real life. Hopefully one day we will get a camera that just follows my head. Now I'm like a beheaded person. What else do you want, guys? Yep, we want our the connector for keyboard and mouse. I'll show you in a second. It's here. That small thing. Connects this bigger thing and this thing, which is in between to this thing, and makes them friends. Now they all connect and they are in harmony, harmonious. Turn it on. Let's go the rest of the paper. It's interesting because they have a different approach. Then again, well, what do I have? I received an email. Okay, let's finish the paper, and I have to go after years and months. I have to go have my in-person meeting with Monzer. Woohoo! Are you ready?
Consumers have unit demand for a good in a product category. They log on to an appropriate platform, example, model. We consider a setting in which consumers have unit demand for a good in a product category. They log on to an appropriate platform, example Expedia, and enter a search query that describes that category, example hotel room in New York City on November 5. They are presented with a finite set of search results. These products are distinguishable by the pre-search characteristics presented to the user. Figure 1 shows an example of the search results on Expedia for the preceding hotel query. The pre-search characteristics include.
So okay, in Expedia again it is like a list. You search, yeah, there is this pre-search keywords or like date, what city, but at the end it shows you a list. So I don't know what they mean exactly.
The average price per night.
Okay, targeting, it is good for targeting though. Those keywords, those terms really help with the targeting.
Photos, the number of reviews, and the number of rooms left. In the case of keyword searches on Bing or Google, for example, The pre-search characteristics include whether a link is organic or sponsored as well as the link text itself. Based on what they see, users may choose to either perform some other search operation, such as refining the query or filtering the results, abandon search, or click on one of the options. If they click, they are taken to a product page, on which they may learn additional product characteristics, example room amenities. They may then stop and purchase, continue search, or abandon search without purchase. At the end of the process, they either have picked the best option from those they considered, clicked on, or have chosen not to buy at all. We now formalize the setting. A consumer I has a need that may be met by purchasing a single product from a finite set of. Figure 1 shows an example of the search results on Expedia for the preceding hotel query. The pre-search characteristics include the average price per night, photos, the number of reviews, and the number of rooms left. In the case of keyword searches on Bing or Google, for example, the pre-search characteristics include whether a link is organic or sponsored as well as the link text itself. Based on what they see, users may choose to either perform some other search operation, such as refining the query or filtering the results, abandon search, or click on one of the options. If they click, they are taken to a product page, on which they may learn additional product characteristics, example room amenities.
It's like the consideration.
They may then stop and purchase, continue search, or abandon search without purchase. At the end of the process, they either have picked the best option from those they considered, clicked on, or have chosen not to buy at all. We now formalize the setting. A consumer I has a need that may be met by purchasing a single product from a finite set of products J1, J plus the outside.
Mathematics. A consumer I has a need that may be met by purchasing a single product from a finite set of products, 1 to J, plus the outside option denoted by 0, Y. Why is it 0? Consumer I's utility form, good J is UIJ, BUXJ. By the way, can I share it? I don't know if I can share it because it was like private thing. We had to go through MIT. So I don't know. Outside option denoted by consumer I's utility from Google J's UIJ. Fuck it, I will share it. YouTube tells us fuck off at worst case, and we apologize. I want to also share my
Option, denoted by 0. Consumer I's utility from good J is OIJUX J plus a J plus pre-E plus postage, 1. Where XJ are characteristics of the product that.
So we have UIJ, utility of consumer I using product J will be beta U XJ plus epsilon J U, what is U? Utility plus epsilon IJ pre plus epsilon IJ post. Alright. XJ are characteristic of the product that are captured by the data, like a hotel's price and a star rating. Oh. So this is the characteristic of product. like what? Price and star. Price, star, rating. Epsilon J U represents the vertical component of quality that is unobserved to the researcher but can be estimated via product fixed effects, the appeal of the photos or the content of the reviews. So it's about like marketing, appeal of the photos. It's called vertical. Photos or reviews. Marketing, I want to say. And what it says, vertical component of quality. What does vertical mean? Okay. Epsilon ij pre and epsilon ij post are taste shocks, idiosyncratic to consumer. I especially likes boutique hotels, so it is like their personalized taste, but I don't get it. Why do we have one term for pre and one term for post? And we have to figure that out now. Consumer I learns UI J by searching for product J. Depending on the context, the UIJ index could represent either the final consumption utility that the consumer derives from the good, or under risk neutrality, the expected utility based on the information on the detailed product description. We normalize the mean utility of the outside option to 0 so that UI 0 is the outside option. Epsilon I0 post. What is post and pre? You didn't define them, motherfucker. Okay, like boutique hotel. Well, here is just a sum. There is no post-pre difference. Timing, I don't get it.
We assume that consumer I knows pre for all products upon landing on the results page, and that postage is only revealed when I searches product J by opening the corresponding product page. Point 10 thus.
Okay, just said it. We assume that consumer I knows epsilon pre ij, but doesn't know epsilon pre I. Oh, that's interesting. So post is realized after buying it and using it, but pre, you know it already for all products upon landing on its results page, and that epsilon ij post is only revealed when I searches product J by opening the corresponding product page J. Thus, we allow consumers to search over it. So it is modeling the two-stage search behavior by the consumers. Thus, we allow consumers to search over their idiosyncratic match value IJ post consistent with several papers in the literature.
We allow consumers to search over their idiosyncratic match value post IJ, consistent with several papers in the literature. As for XJ and AJ, we do not take a stand on when they are revealed to consumers. Some of those attributes, such as price, could be immediately visible on the results page, but others, for example, the component of quality captured by AJ may only be accessible after clicking on the product page. Our model accommodates both the case in which XJ AJ are known to the consumers pre-search and the case in which they require search, as well as any intermediate case in which some of these attributes are known pre-search and the others are only revealed after search. Which case is most appropriate for a given empirical setting depends on the structure of the website/app as well as on what is captured by the data available to the researcher.
So
for instance,
it depends on the
if the data
structure of the
contains
website
detailed
too.
information about product reviews and other features that are only visible on the product page, then those XJ variables would only be visible to consumers post-search. We formalize this in the following assumptions. Assumption 1. The researcher observes XJ, consumer search actions, and consumer choices and can estimate the product fixed effects AJ. The researcher observes XJ.
The researcher observes XJ, the character, product, prices, star rating, like any consumer. Consumer search action, what they did on the internet, and consumer choices, and can estimate the product fixed effects epsilon j u. Alright, we are assuming that they can do that. Good, that I like when a paper says what their assumptions are.
Consumer search actions, and consumer choices and can estimate the product fixed effects AJ. Compiani etal, online in search. Assumption 2. Consumer I knows pre E for all J before ingig dash. Ing in search but needs to search J in order to reveal postage. Prior to search, it may be that the consumer knows all of the XJ AJ attributes or none of them or only a subset of.
That's also unrealistic, knowing all the epsilon j and xj. Or none of them or only a okay.
Them for any given good. We also maintain the same assumptions on the search process as in Weitzman, 1979. Assumption 3. Consumers search sequentially with free recall, are forward-looking, and pay costs CJ to open product J's page, which fully reveals which.
So it is a search
the
cost
utilities
assigned that once you search for a
search
consumer
sequentially with free recall.
Product J, you pay cost CJ. Sequentially still, but not the top of the page necessarily, right? Free recall. Are forward looking and pay cost J's page, which fully reveals UIJ.
Are forward looking and pay costs CJ to open
once
product
you
J's
open,
page, which fully reveals.
So once you open, not buy, once you open the page J, you will reveal the UIJ fully. But before opening, you only know XJ and epsilon J. So what is pre and post then? I don't know. Again, I got knows before opening. Knows after opening J.
The utilities are independent and identically distributed, id, across goods conditional on the pre-search information. The restriction of conditional independence of utilities guarantees that the payoff realization for one product does not cause consumers to update about the payoff distributions of the remaining products. Point 11. If we let it be consumer I's information set about product J pre-search, the results in Weitzman, 1970.
Information set. Well, it's epsilon J and XJ, right?
9. Yield the optimal search strategy. Specifically, consumer I forms a reservation value SIG for each product J, which is defined as the solution to CJZ infinity,
What is SIJ?
WHIJ, U.
Consumer I forms a reservation value SIJ. First product J, which is defined as the solution to this over the information set. Where is the density of UIJ based on the information they have exactly? Reservation value.
Do 2. SIG. Where FWIJ is the density of OIJ given consumer I's information set. Search optimally proceeds in descending order of reservation values until the highest utility uncovered exceeds the next best value of SIG, at which point I stops searching and chooses the good with the highest utility among those searched. The payoff from the outside option, UI0, is known pre-search, i.e., we can set SI0 infinity.
Just getting zoned out.
So that, if UI0 is higher than SIG for all j greater than or equal to 1, then consumer I leaves the results page without searching any products. 6 Compiani ETAL, online search and optimal product. The reservation values are to be interpreted as some combination of the visibility, salience, and pre-search observable attractiveness of the products. Because the ranking of a product affects how easy it is for consumers to reach its page, the search costs CJ and, thus, the reservation values SIG are likely to be a function of rankings. Therefore, we specify the reservation values, or search indices, as SIG beta SXJ plus XISJ plus F, RJ, plus pre-E plus SIG, 3.
What is RJ?
Where RJ is the rank of each product on the page with a higher value indicating a more salient position so that...
Salient. What is a salient? Alright, so reservation price, it depends on the rating, it depends on the appeal, it depends on their position on the ranking, and what are they? Personalized stuff. Salient. Most noticeable or important. It succinctly covered all the salient points of the pointing outward of an angle. Right.
F, RJ, is an increasing function. Note that, in our model, consumer behavior is fully characterized by the set of utility indices, 1, and search indices, 3. A few comments are in order on the specification of the search indices. First, SIG depends on pre-E in the same way that UIJ does, which is consistent with the fact that pre-IJ is known to consumers pre-search. In contrast, SIG does not depend on postage because that component of utility is unknown prior to search.
Deep into them, by the way.
Second, notice that XJ enters both utility and search indices but with possibly different coefficients. This allows for a range of possibilities, consistent with assumption 2. For example, it could be that consumers know XJ prior to search and form expectations based on it regarding the components of utility that they don't yet know. Another possibility is that XJ is not known before search, in which case it would not enter the search index, that is, beta S0. A similar argument applies to the unobserved, to the researcher, terms XISJ and AJ. Because the relationship between XISJ and AJ is left unrestricted, they are estimated via 2 separate sets of hotel fixed effects. In the empirical implementation, we allow for the case in which AJ is known to consumers before search, and is possibly used to form expectations on the unknown parts of utility, as well as the case in which AJ is unknown prior to search. In the next sections, we formalize these arguments by explicitly working through 3 possible micro-foundations for the reservation values. In all cases, the intuition is the same, because the reservation values are linear in the pre-search components of utility, if we assume that the expectations about the search attributes are also linear, it follows that the search indices are linear functions of the pre-search attributes plus a term f, rj, capturing the effect of search costs. This corresponds exactly to the functional form in 3. We emphasize that the following examples are just 3 possible ways to micro-found our model and that other options are allowed. For instance, hybrid models in which consumers know some of the XJ attributes, example price and brand, prior to search and reveal the remaining XJ attributes, example location of the hotel, as well as AJ via search. Because, in estimation, we directly target the coefficients in the two indices, we do not have to commit to any of these micro foundations, implying that the estimation is robust to any of these search patterns. 2.1 Example 1, search over quality JUJ and match value postage. Let utilities take the form in 1. Assume that consumers know XJ and pre-E for all J prior to search and pay. Search costs CJ to learn AJ and postage. Further, pre-E and postage are it across products and independent of all other variables, and AJ are independent across products J conditional on the vector of all pre-search components, XJ, pre, JJ1. Then, equation 2 takes the form CJZ infinity, usage, FWE XJ, pre, U, do, for, SIG. We now show that these search indices take the form we specify in 3. Toward this, assume that the conditional distribution of AJ belongs to a location family, XIU. J gamma XJ plus XIUJ for some parameters gamma and a random variable XIUJ with XIUJ XJ. Then, the conditional mean is ln dash. Here in the product characteristics, EAJ XJ gamma XJ. We can interpret gamma as capturing the relationship between product characteristics observed on the search page and those that are only observed after clicking through. Example price could act as a signal of quality. We can then rewrite the right-hand side of the preceding equation as follows. Z infinity. Usage. FWE XJ, pre, where the first equality follows from the relationship between the conditional densities of UJ and AJ, postage, the second from the location family assumption, and the third by the change of variable YU XJ gamma XJ pre.
That's
Now,
good, by the
let
way.
rho
I
J be
want
the
to see
solution of CJ
how
or
in an empirical paper they deal with mathematics. Like they have these big intervals, integrals, and they have like so many variables for their models. Are they going to give us some results about them, or it's just modeling? The rest is by
infinity
simulation?
IJ. Rho J, Y rho J, F xi UJ plus post, Y, dy, IJ. And let beta S beta U plus gamma. Then, if we let the search index take the form
Yeah,
SIG XJ plus
we wanna
gamma
see,
XJ plus rho J
because
plus
I
pre.
haven't had an experience, so am I going to get too deep in the mathematics? I don't want that.
Beta S XJ plus rho J plus
Or I
pre.
shouldn't see
We
the standard then.
may substitute into 5 and verify that SIG indeed satisfies 4. Note that beta S beta U plus gamma is in general different from beta U if gamma is not equal to 0 because of consumers forming expectations on XIUJ based on XJ. For example, if consumers infer that a higher price XJ is associated with better quality AJ, then Compiani etal, we have gamma 0 and, thus, beta S beta U. Finally, suppose that search costs are determined by rankings and decrease in rank, i.e., high-rank products
So they
have low
have
search costs.
propositions.
Then, it follows that the thresholds rho J are a function of rankings, that is, rho JF, RJ, for some unknown increasing function f. Putting this all together, we have SIG beta SXJ plus f, RJ, plus pre. This functional form for the search index is subsumed by the specification in 3. Specifically, 3 includes the additional XISJ plus SIG term, which represents anything that affects the salience of product J besides what is captured by the ranking RJ. An example of this is consumer heterogeneity in search costs as well as any mistakes that consumers may make in calculating the optimal reservation values. Alternatively, if different goods have different distributions of XIUJ, then the term XIS J captures this. For instance, if the variance of XIUJ is higher than that of XIUK, it is well known that the reservation value of J is higher, because there is more upside to searching J, which is captured by XISJ being larger than XISK. 12. In the empirical implementation, the terms XISJ are estimated via fixed effects and thus are left unrestricted, whereas the shock SIJ are helpful to smooth out the likelihood function. See section 4.2. 2.2 Example 2, search over attributes xj and match value post. ij. Nothing in the derivations from the last section hinges on the fact that xj is observed by the researcher and aj is not. Thus, an analogous argument holds for the case in which the role of the two terms is flipped, that is, consumers know aj prior to search and learn xj upon searching product j specifically. Let xj gamma aj plus xj, and let consumers form expectations on xj based on e, xj aj, gamma aj. Then, derivations similar to the preceding lead to the functional form SIJ xi j, 1 plus beta u gamma, plus rho j plus pre, where rho j solves cj are infinity rho j, y rho j,
No doubt,
flux j plus post, y,
Negin's
dy.
paper was
This specie
easier to understand.
identification for the search index is subsumed by
Felt
that in
more natural
3,
to me.
by letting xisj aj,
It's just
1 plus beta u
this
gamma,
paper is
and
super
beta
algebraic.
s0. As before, the
They
functional
don't have
form
any
in
graphs.
3 contains the additional error term SIJ,
They don't say
which
how
captures
consumer
heterogeneity
behave.
in search costs
What
and
does it
slash
matter?
or any factors affecting the salience of product J above and beyond what the fully rational model predicts. 2.3 Example 3, search over match value post. ij. If consumers know xj aj, pre-search and only learn post I, j upon clicking on product j, then an analogous derivation to that in section 2.1 leads to the following expression for the search indices. SIJ xj plus aj plus f, rj, plus pre-e plus SIJ comma, which is a special case of the specification in 3, with beta s beta u and xisj aj. Intuitively, if consumers only search over the idiosyncratic shocks post ej which are assumed to be independent of everything else, then their search indices are simply going to equal the part of utility that they observe pre-search, i.e., xj plus aj plus pre, plus the term f, rj, capturing the search cost. Note that, in this case, xj and aj enter both the utility and the search indices in the same way because, by independence of post, ij, e, post e, j xj, aj, 0, and thus, xj and aj do not carry any extra information about post ej in the search index. Point 13 As before, we also include the additional search shock SIJ, which helps us smooth out the likelihood. This example shows that our model accommodates the case in which consumers only search over their match value post ej, which is commonly considered in the literature. We reiterate that the models in sections 2.1 to 2.3 are just 3 possible microfoundations for the double index specification. In particular, other Weitzman models in which consumers search a subset of the xj aj variables on top of postage are possible. 2.4 Can rankings affect consumers'
and see their
expectations? In the preceding microfoundations,
they also sort of did themselves that there are 2 models exactly studying the same stuff. So getting into the details of the models, I don't know. I like the story of the model, what it is, the results, not my business to be honest. Unless it's very intuitive.
Focus for notational convenience on the case in which rankings only affect search costs but do not directly enter utility. However, our framework can also accommodate the possibility that consumers form expectations on the search attributes based on rankings. For instance, in the first example, section 2.1, it could be that in the preceding microfoundations, can rankings affect consumers' expectations? In the preceding microfoundations, we focus for notational convenience on the case in which rankings only affect search costs but do not directly enter utility. However, our framework can also accommodate the possibility
ranking by itself, I don't think, maybe some people are, but you can say, oh, I bought this product and it was on the top of the ranking. That is not irrational behavior, but some people may do. Some people like just buying a brand, right? So ranking does matter in utility, and the fact that they are saying ranking just affects. So in real life, I think we have cases that ranking, if you buy like a, yeah, right. For example, we will buy iPhone, right? It has different models. I think there is some utility just to buy the most expensive, like iPhone 15 Pro Max, all these titles. There is some utility because, to be honest, a lot of these iPhones are enough for whatever functionality we want them. But just having this saying that we are the last, where we have the last version, is interesting. Here they are saying ranking is just in the utility for the search cost, because if you're at the top, you will be seeing I don't have the time to go over all the products. In a sense, makes sense. In a sense, is not realistic.
Consumers form expectations on the search attributes based on rankings. For instance, in the first example, section 2.1, it could be that consumers expect a higher value of quality XIUJ when a product is ranked higher. Then, the expectation in 5 is taken over the distribution of XIUJ plus postage conditional on RJ. As a result, the term ROJ showing up in the search index would depend on RJ not just because worse rankings lead to higher search costs, but also via the expectations channel. Because we are modeling ROJ as a flexible function of rankings to be estimated via position fixed effects, our framework can accommodate this.
What is ROJ?
One limitation is that, because we do not model the process whereby consumers form expectations about post-search attributes based on rankings, we have to assume that this process is unchanged in our counterfactuals. Thus, for example, Expedia users have the same beliefs about the post-search quality of a hotel ranked in the first position as the ranking algorithm changes. There are two main reasons for this choice. First, changes
First of all,
in the
when you bring
proprietary
reason,
ranking
it means that it is not very intuitive.
Algorithm used by a platform are usually not announced to the public, and thus, it is reasonable to assume that consumers would not react to those changes in the short to medium term.
I agree.
In the long run, we might expect consumers to realize that the ranking algorithm has changed and update their beliefs accordingly, especially if they interact with the platform often, and so we view our analysis as one that best captures patterns in the short to medium run. However, even in the long run, it is not clear that users would have fully rational expectations given the complexity and lack of transparency of many algorithms.
That's what we want to know. It's just
copy
consumers do not know. Also,
AL,
firms do not know.
Online search and allowing consumers to update their beliefs substantially complicates the task of finding optimal algorithms. In particular, one would need to solve for a fixed point.
Exactly.
The optimal ranking is such that consumers' beliefs
So
react.
they are saying, no, let's do it easier. Let's assume that consumers are not reactive to the optimal ranking. But if you're assuming, like, in a deepest mental masturbation, you think, oh, consumer considers action depends on the ranking.
To it in a way that
Which
makes
is,
it optimal
like an
for the
auction
platform to
type
choose
thing.
exactly that ranking. Finally, we note that the welfare gains from optimally ranking products are likely to be even larger
So,
than our
for
estimates.
example, in my model, I am trying to, I assume that firms know some stuff about the ranking. They know, for example, the scoring system, and then they try to come up with the strategies.
If consumers adjust their beliefs.
On the
This is
consumer
because
side, I agree. A consumer does not want to strategize against the platform. It's just, yeah, let's go on the platform, look top to the down, maybe. That's it. That's a consumer as a strategy. But a firm that wants to be, it makes more sense to assume him as a strategic agent And it is.
Consumers anticipate that rankings are optimized. They need to search less before finding a product that is sufficiently good, implying search cost gains above and beyond our estimates. 3. Optimal rankings. Online platforms can influence what is bought through their product rankings. In our model, this is captured by the term F, RJ, in the reservation values. With this in mind, we now turn to the problem of optimizing those rankings. We consider two main objective functions: maximizing consumer surplus, an appropriate target for a platform trying to maximize the size of its user base or for a policymaker, and maximizing revenue. Point 14. For any given search query, platforms can decide how to order the results that they return. Assuming that each search query corresponds to a fixed set of relevant products J, the problem is then to determine which of those products to rank and how to rank them. The platform may choose not to present all products to the consumer. This is equivalent to allowing the platform to set a product's rank to be 0 with F, 0, infinity, so that this product is never considered. However, we rule out gaps in the ranking. If there is a product ranked in position L, then positions 1:L1 must be filled. The analysis in this section is conditional on a search query.
To be honest, I am more interested in
can
the
seamlessly
experimental part
incorporate
of the
additional
project
information
now.
that the platform might have on the consumer, delivering
Ignoring
personalized
the
rankings.
stuff that they say.
We assume that the platform knows both the mean baseline search index beta SXJ plus XISJ and the mean utility UXJ plus AJ, as well as the rankings function F. We think it is realistic to assume this given that platforms have access to rich data, including data from experiments, that allow them to obtain good estimates of the quality and salience of each option. Indeed, in the empirical application, we propose one way to estimate these objects based on click and choice data, which are readily available to platforms. 3.1 Choice probabilities and consumer surplus. First, we state a lemma that characterizes the relationship between the search and utility indices and the product eventually purchased. This result is a minor modification of an existing result by Choi et al. 2018, for the Weitzman, 1979, model, and we adopt their name for the result. See also Armstrong and Vickers 2015, Kleinberg et al. 2016, Armstrong 2017. Let SI0 SI1: SIJ, and similarly for UI. Lemma 1, eventual purchase. A consumer facing a choice set consisting of SIUI, including an outside option with SI0 infinity, purchases a product J set membership symbol J, where J argmax J set membership symbol J vij for vij min situage. Proof. See online appendix A.2. W in words, it is the product with the highest minimum of search and utility indices that gets purchased. We call this quantity vij min situage the effective index of the product. Note that consumers only know which for the products they searched, but they still end up choosing the good that maximizes the effective index across all products. One implication of lemma 1 is that products with high utility.
A consumer facing a choice set consisting of S and U, including an outside option with this, a product J where J argmax Vij.
But low search indices are rarely purchased. In words, it is the product with the highest minimum of search and utility indices that gets purchased. We call this quantity vij min situage the effective index of the product. Note that consumers only know which for the products they searched, but they still end up choosing the good that maximizes the effective index across all products. One implication of lemma 1 is that products with high utility but low search indices are rarely purchased. In other words, a product needs to be both good, high UIJ, and salient, high SIJ, in order
noticeable. Salient means noticeable. So, should be good enough and observable. That's, you're high quality but you're not seen, sorry for you. Note that the consumers only know UIJ for the product they search, but they still end up choosing the good that maximizes the effective index across all the products. One implication of Lemma 1 is that products with high utility but low search indices are rarely purchased. In other words, the product needs to be both good high UIJ and salient high SIJ in order to
have a high market share. We now show that Lemma 1 yields
so
convenient
both of them
expressions
should
for
be
choice
good. Both the
probabilities
product quality and the ranking and SIJ salience
and
whatever.
average consumer surplus under a standard assumption on the distribution of pre. We begin by fixing the SIJ, postage shocks, these are integrated out at the end. Let SIJ beta SXJ plus XI plus SIJ be the mean search index, before the effect of rankings, OIJ J plus XIU. J plus postage be the mean utility, and delta VIJ, RJ, min SIJ plus F, RJ, OIJ be the mean effective index. Define IJ, RJ, OIJ SIJ F, RJ, to be the potential of product J, that is, the difference between the mean utility and search indices, inclusive of the rankings effect. This potential captures how much better the product is, on average, than it appears to be based on the information displayed on the results page as well as its ranking. We can now derive convenient formulae for the choice probability functions and the average consumer surplus. The latter is defined to be the average utility of a consumer on the platform, gross of any search costs, for which the average is taken over all consumer-specific unobservables, epsilon s. I, pre, posting. Proposition 1, aggregate demand and consumer surplus. Let R1, RJ, and assume that pre is drawn from a Gumbel distribution independently across goods.
They are also using
Then,
the Gumbel
the probability
distribution.
of a consumer
I
choosing
know, I
product J is
remembered
given
it
by
actually, it is interesting.
P, choose J,
Gumbel
R,
distribution,
R1,
because it works well with the two-stage search model. Gumbel distribution was also used in Negin's paper.
RJ, and assume that pre is drawn from a Gumbel distribution independently across goods. Then, the probability of a consumer choosing product J is given by P, choose J, QJ, R, ZKij, R, FC, post, I1 plus PKEXPIC, RK, and FEXPVIJ, RJ. Where Kij, R, C, post is the distribution of I, epsilon SI, posting. Compiani ETAL, further, the average consumer surplus is given by CSC plus Z log 1 plus XEXPVIJ, RJ. This proposition says, first, that the choice probabilities are determined by the mean effective indices according to the standard logit form, integrated over
and
epsilon s.
Like they have some propositions, but they also come with algorithms.
This is simply a consequence of lemma 1 and the extreme value distribution assumption on pre-J. The consumer surplus, on the other hand, differs from the standard log sum form corresponding to the first term inside the integral in 6, in that it has an additional term that binds only for products whose utility is higher than the search index or, equivalently, whose potential edge is positive, diamonds in the rough. Point 15. The reason is that although choices are based on effective indices VIJ, consumer surplus is based on utility, and so whenever the utility exceeds the
diamonds in the rough are the products
index,
that got good high quality but low SIJ. Is that it? Higher than the search index or equivalent whose potential is positive, I see.
Must be counted too.
Diamonds
it can't be less than the effective index because of the min operator in the definition of effective indices. This characterization of consumer surplus is a key building block in the analysis that follows. Note that, whereas our model features search costs, the formula for consumer surplus does not account for the reduction in welfare because of the search effort, but only for the effect that search costs have on the quality of the final choice made by consumers. Point 16. This may be appropriate for online environments, in which the time costs of search are often small. But one may reasonably be concerned that these search costs are important in practice, and so in our application, we track the average number of clicks under different algorithms as an additional performance metric and find that the proposed algorithms essentially do not change the number of searches relative to the status quo. In contexts in which this is not the case, particularly if the proposed consumer surplus optimizing algorithm yields substantially more searches, one can use one of the micro foundations of the model and the estimated parameters to back out search costs, example from, for, and then account for the latter in the welfare calculation. 3.2 Optimizing consumer surplus. We want to match products to ranks in such a way as to maximize consumer surplus. This matching problem is discrete and, therefore, not amenable to standard techniques. So we begin instead with the relaxation of the problem in which ranks can be assigned continuously, subject to a budget constraint that may hold with inequality, because the platform can choose not to. Optimizing consumer surplus. We want to match.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, these companies, they go on Amazon, and Amazon cannot tell them, okay, what is your SIJ, what is, these companies do not know what is their, like, XIJ, like, they don't know their quality, or something like that. What is it SIJ or the Epsilon J, right? Epsilon J is the appeal of the photos, or marketing, or to the consumer. They don't know, and if they go, okay, how to, if Amazon had an environment for them, that their score will not be hurt. Yeah. So these companies get to know the taste of the consumer so that they can target their consumer. They can do their role without hurting their score on the platform. All right.
Products to ranks in such a way as to maximize consumer surplus. This matching problem is discrete and, therefore, not amenable to standard techniques. So we begin instead with the relaxation of the problem in which ranks can be assigned continuously, subject to a budget constraint that may hold with inequality, because the platform can choose not to list some products at all, leaving some surplus ranks. Let F now be defined on the rails with F greater than or equal to 0, and let CS, R, delta S, delta U, denote the average consumer surplus as a function of the vectors of rankings R and average indices delta S, delta U, that is, we let delta Sj beta Sxj plus Xi Sj, so that Sij delta Sj plus Cj, and similarly let Aj Xj plus Aj. Then, the problem is max CS, R, delta S, delta U, R1, Rj. Subject to X Rj less than or equal to J, J plus 1, 2. Jj is listed, where the budget J, J plus 1, equals 2 1 plus 2 plus J corresponds to the total ranking power available. The optimal solution has the property that the partial derivative of the consumer surplus is equal for all products that are ranked, CS, R, delta S, delta U, equals Rj lambda turned Aj set membership symbol L, where L is the set of products listed, and when all products are listed, Lambda is the Lagrange multiplier on the budget constraint. If it is feasible to choose ranks so that Sig plus F, Rj, greater than or equal to OH turned AJ and I, i.e., every product has a higher search index than its utility index, it is also optimal for consumer surplus. The reason is that the mean effective indices, min Sig, OH, are ordered in the same way as mean utilities so that the highest utility products are most often purchased. However, in most cases, it is not possible to promote all products enough to achieve this, and some products need to be prioritized. To see which products benefit most from higher rankings, we take the derivative of consumer surplus with respect to Rj.
My question is
CS,
interesting, to be
R,
honest.
delta S, delta U. RJZ epsilon S Kij, R, F, RJ, IJ postage 0, 7. Where, again, Kij denotes the choice probability of product J for a consumer with shocks, epsilon S. I, posty. We derive this expression in online appendix A.4. The intuition for it is in two parts. When delta Sj plus F, Rj, plus Cj greater than or equal to delta U, J plus postage so that the effective index of J is determined by the utility. Marginally improving the ranking of the product, i.e., increasing Rj, will not change the choice probabilities and hence has no effect on consumer surplus. This is why the integral in the expression excludes realizations of epsilon Si, posty, resulting in the search index being larger than the utility index. On the other hand, when delta Sj plus F, Rj, plus Cj, Compiani et al., Online Search and Optimal Product Rankings, an Empirical Framework. Marketing Science, Articles in Advance, pages 1 to 22, copyright 2023 Informs. Downloaded from informs.org by 18.9.61.111 on April's. This is good or bad for consumers depends on the sign of the expression in parentheses in 7, which relates the potential of product J to a weighted sum of the potentials of all products with positive potential. 17 If J offers a potential H that is higher than the other products, then consumer surplus increases. If product J is promoted, higher rate. This is because, in this case, product J tends to deliver a positive surprise to consumers when they search it, diamond in the rough, thus, making it more salient on the results page leads more consumers to click on it and eventually choose it. In contrast, when J offers a potential H that is lower than the other products, then it is best to reduce the rankings power allocated to it, that is, demote J intuitively. In this case, product J tends to deliver a negative surprise or a not as positive surprise relative to its competitors, clickbait, and thus, it is optimal to steer consumers toward other products. A key insight from 7 is that, in order to maximize consumer surplus, the platform should promote products with the highest baseline potential, which need not be those with the highest utility levels. As an example, consider two hotels A and B with delta UA up. Example A is a chain hotel with more amenities. Because the baseline potential of B is higher, it is optimal for consumer surplus to promote B over A even though A has a higher utility. Thus, the optimal ranking need not be the same as the ranking of products based on their utilities. In our empirical application, we indeed find that the utility ranking is suboptimal. Note that this insight hinges crucially on the fact that we allow consumers to uncover vertical components of utility, AJ and / or elements of XJ, via search because this is what drives the possible wedge between the average utility delta UJ and the average baseline search index delta SJ. In fact, if consumers only searched over match value, in this case, it is optimal to rank products by utility. One aspect that is not captured by the model is the fact that, if a very obvious good choice is not ranked at the top, users may mistrust the platform and leave. For instance, if someone is looking up tourist attractions
we were talking about, like, it was about our other work with Alessandro, Thibaut, and Moser. If you are like Google Gemini and you are ChatGPT, if your answers are completely away from each other, or you're Netflix and you're Hulu and like one of you doesn't have a very popular movie like Friends, right? I know Netflix doesn't have Friends, but that's the point. As these platforms, you need to have some products that are acceptable by the common, by like everybody likes them. You should have them, otherwise people won't join your platform. Then in competition with other platforms, you need to have some other products that makes you special. And it also gives products and firms and companies to have a say, like they decide which platform to join.
Paris and the platform does not rank the Louvre in one of the top positions, this may raise a red flag. This is especially a concern for cases in which products are clearly vertically differentiated. Most people agree that the Louvre is a top attraction. On the other hand, in contexts in which products exhibit more horizontal differentiation, such as hotels, for which quality is traded off against price, then this mechanism may not be as prevalent.
In one of the top positions.
The argument so far has treated rankings as continuous.
It questions your recommender
However,
system.
in practice, F is bounded, and each rank is discrete and associated with a fixed jump in its impact on a product's search index. It may no longer be possible to equate potentials. For example, some high-utility products may have such low search indices that, even with favorable rankings, they are ignored by consumers, and from the point of view of the platform, this is wasted promotion. In view of this, an algorithm that respects the discrete nature of the problem is needed. 3.2.1 The opt-k algorithm. The discrete ranking problem is combinatorial in the number of positions and, therefore, demands a computationally tractable algorithm. We propose the following algorithm, which we label opt-k. Instead of ranking all J products, let us instead consider the simpler problem of assigning products to the first K, or fewer, positions to maximize the consumer surplus from that assignment, which we denote by CSK, that is, CSKC plus Z log 1 plus X EXP VIJ, RJ. JRJ greater than or equal to JK plus 1. X plus KIJ, R, IJ, RJ, hashtag FC, post comma, where RJ now represents the discrete rank of each product defined as J position J plus 1, so, again, higher is bet dash. Peter. Maximizing CSK by brute force requires only KK1J equals JK. Evaluations 18 and, thus, scales better than the brute force approach, that is, trying all posse dash. P-BLE combinations for up to J. P-BLE combination evaluations. Further, the computational gap between the two increases the smaller K is relative to J. Of course, only focusing on the top K ranks entails a loss of consumer surplus, and it is natural to consider conditions under which this loss is guaranteed to be reasonably small. The next result, proposition 2, approximate optimality. Let K less than or equal to J, turned ARJ, F, where are set memberships, proof, W comp, downloaded from Informed, for personal use only, all rights reserved. Proposition 2 says that, if all products placed after position K, i.e., those with low ranks, are unlikely to be bought because their search indices become very low, i.e., new is small, then optimizing product assignments for the first K positions delivers close to optimal consumer surplus. This is because the bound on the right-hand side of the inequality decreases as new gets smaller. To interpret assumptions, I, and, 2, in the statement of proposition 2. Be that PJRJ. This, in turn, implies JRJ. Conversely, if products ranked after position K are relatively likely to be purchased, High new, only focusing on the top K positions may incur a substantial loss of consumer surplus. What makes the result of Proposition 2 tricky to prove is that the decision of how to rank any one product affects the choice probabilities for all other products. By doing an exhaustive search over the top K positions, we can guarantee approximate optimality whenever the remaining positions bury the products placed there sufficiently so that they are rarely bought. Many online environments have the property that the top ranked products get the vast majority of clicks, in which case there may be a reasonably small K simulations, whereas Propositions 2 and 3 give theoretical guarantees for the performance of the opt-K algorithm. In practice, the algorithm's performance depends on the number of products J and the choice of K and the distributions of utilities and revenues, as well as whether the conditions of the propositions are met. In this section, we illustrate, via simulations, the performance of the opt-K algorithm under a wide range of conditions. We also discuss in practice how to optimize rankings for the remaining JK products as well as the runtime of various opt-K algorithms. 3.4.1 Simulation Environment. We simulate J5 products to be assigned to ranks R set membership symbol 5, 4::::1, in which the effect of ranking on the mean search index exponentially decays, that is, F, R, AEXP, R6, for A set membership symbol 5, 15, 30. We limit the number of products to 5 to retain the ability to brute force and find the actual best and worst assignments as benchmark.
Like 120.
Product-specific profits are drawn from a log normal, 0, 1, distribution, whereas mean search and utility indices of each product are drawn from abnormal distributions, that is, delta SJIIDN, 0, 0:5, and a JIIDN, 0:5, for set membership symbol 5, 0, 5. For each combination of A, we simulate 100 times, for a total of 900 simulations. For each simulation draw, we first find the maximum and minimum consumer surplus CSMAX and CSMIN by enumerating all PJJ1J equals JJ possible rankings and then report the consumer surplus under Compiani ETAL, online search and optimal product rankings, and
OPT performance, K is 1, K is 5, what is consumer surplus, platform revenue plus. So once K increases, performance gets better, non-random and greedy. We can see greedy is better than random and better than non. What is non in both cases? And greedy is pretty good.
Empirical Framework Marketing Science, articles in advance, pages 1 to 22. Simulation results of opt-K algorithm performance for consumer surplus and platform revenues with J5 products. Positions K plus 1: J assign, I, no products, 2, randomly ordered products, or 3, products according to opt-K. Performance is first normalized by QMIN equals QMAXmin, where Q set membership symbol CS pi and min and QMAX are obtained via enumeration, and then averaged across 9 combinations of parameters, results. Table 1 presents the performance results of the opt-K algorithm for both consumer surplus and platform revenues. In each simulation, we compare 3 algorithms that differ in how they assign positions beyond K. I, the first, labeled none in the table, does not assign any products to positions beyond K. 2, the second, random, assigns products randomly to positions beyond K.
Their runtime is pretty
3,
much close.
the third, greedy, corresponds to the greedy opt-K algorithm
greedy.
described earlier. Point
Yeah,
19.
they're pretty close.
Repeat this for K1, 2::::5 and note that each of these 3 algorithms is equivalent to the brute force approach, i.e., trying all
They
possible
had like
rankings of
two
the 5
results.
products,
That was
when K5.
two theoretical
The greedy
propositions.
algorithms consistently achieve more
The
than
two theoretical
98% of the consumer
propositions.
surplus and revenue gains.
And
This is true even for K1.
one
That is,
algorithm, and the
when
rest
only the
is
top
like
position is brute forced and the
the
remaining
rest
4
of the
are
paper is
assigned
just
greedily.
empirical study.
In contrast, the none and random algorithms exhibit a much steeper gradient from K1 to K5, highlighting the importance of how the positions beyond K are assigned. Still, all algorithms capture at least 80% of the gains for K greater than or equal to 3. We now turn to the computational cost of OPT-K. The number of evaluations required to execute OPT-K. None 0.060.374.2852 is PKK1J equals JK, which scales up quickly. Table 2 compares different OPT-K algorithms in terms of their runtimes. We increase the number of products to J15, which is more realistic in practice. It roughly represents the first full page of search results that are most salient to consumers on a typical platform. With an otherwise similar simulation environment, we run various OPT-K algorithms for 5 times for each set of parameters. Whereas runtimes increase quickly with K, the OPT-K algorithm remains computationally feasible for small k when J15. The additional cost of the OPT-K algorithm is small and does not meaningfully scale with K. Runtime for consumer surplus and platform revenues are similar. We conclude that, in our simulations, the OPT-K algorithm is computationally feasible and close to optimal for small k. Based on these results, we use the OPT-K algorithm with K3 in our empirical application. For empirical application, we apply our method to study the customer search and choice data from a hotel booking platform, Expedia. Platform revenues. Greedy. 1.861.3.
Table 3. Observations, predict close, price, promotion, location score, view score, chain, mean. Okay. Testing sample, training sample, median, standard deviation, minimum, maximum.
Using our demand estimates, we compare our optimal ranking algorithm to both the utility-based ranking and the Expedia ranking, evaluating how they each perform with respect to revenue, consumer surplus, and number of searches. 4.1 Data and descriptive evidence. Our data come from Expedia and are made available through kajigle.com, an online platform on which data miners can use data sets to take part in competitions posted by companies. We refer the reader to ERSUG, 2018, for a comprehensive discussion of the data. Here, we focus on the features that are most directly relevant to our analysis. The Expedia data are composed of 2 data sets, training and testing data sets. Both data sets contain customer search and choice records from November 2012 to June 2013 among 34 different markets. There are 120,883 search impressions in the train dash. Data and 276,644 impressions in the testing data. Point 21. Both training and testing data contain only impressions for which customers searched at least once, and each impression displays 5 to 38 different hotels. There are. Table 4. Summary statistics. 124,561 hotels in the training data and 130,136 hotels in the testing data. We observe their rating, price, country, review score, whether it belongs to a chain or not, and location score. Further, we observe whether the hotel is being clicked on and whether the hotel is booked. The main difference between the 2 data sets is that, in the training data, hotels are ranked randomly, whereas in the testing data, hotels are ranked according to the proprietary Expedia algorithm. The advantage of the training data is that we can identify the effect of rankings on the customer search index without having to worry about endogeneity of ranks.
hotels
Although
in the
we observe
training
whether
data.
a customer searched
Each
a
dot
hotel or
corresponds
not,
to a hotel
we do
and
not
the
observe
best
the order
linear.
of search. In the
So,
estimation, this requires us to
clicks
integrate
and
out along
bookings
all
are
possible permutations of search paths. Table 3 shows summary statistics for hotel characteristics in the training and testing samples. One can see that the hotel
maximally
characteristics have
correlated
very
methods.
similar distributions in the two samples, except that prices are slightly lower in the testing sample. Table 4 shows summary statistics on consumer behavior, consisting of around 25 hotels on average. In spite of this, consumers only search slightly more than one hotel on average, suggesting that rankings are likely to play an important role in driving final choices. There is, however, heterogeneity in search, with some consumers clicking on several hotels. Note that, in order to keep the integration along search paths,
the figure shows the relationship between average position of a hotel in the testing data and its click rank in the training data. Why we have into the and its booking rank in the training data, right panel. Each dot corresponds to a hotel and the best linear feed is plotted. So once you are position in the testing data is higher, your booking rank, click rank will decrease. Something like that.
Tractable, we drop impressions for which customers searched more than 5 times, which corresponds to around 0.5% of the overall sample. Next, we provide some descriptive evidence to motivate our model. Figure 2 shows the relationship between the number of clicks and the number of bookings for the same hotel in the training data point 22, whereas hotels that are clicked more often also tend to be booked more. There is also substantial independent variation in the two variables. This suggests that search and choice patterns are driven by two distinct mechanisms, which motivates our double index model. In other words, a model featuring a single index, such as a standard discrete choice model, is not likely to fit the data well. Second, we look at the ranking algorithm used by Expedia in the testing data. Figure 3 relates a hotel's average position in the testing data with the number of clicks, left panel, and bookings, right panel, in the training data. We expect that hotels that are more often clicked and purchased in the training data, in which ranks are assigned randomly, are the ones that Expedia would choose to rank more favorably in its own algorithm. This is indeed the case. Finally, Figure 4 shows how the probability of clicking and booking a hotel varies with the average hotel position across the two data sets. As expected, better positions are associated with higher click probabilities on average in both data sets, left panel. However, the slope of the relationship is steeper in the testing data. This is consistent with the idea that Expedia is optimizing its rankings so that the hotels ranked in the first few positions are relatively more attractive than random hotels. Notice also that the probability of searching a hotel in position 30 or above. Finally, Figure 4 shows how the probability of clicking and booking a hotel varies with the average hotel position across the two data sets. As expected, better positions are associated with higher click probabilities on average in both data sets, left panel. However, the slope of the relationship is steeper in the testing data. This is consistent with the idea that Expedia is optimizing its rankings so that the hotels ranked in the first few positions are relatively more attractive than random hotels. Notice also that the probability of searching a hotel in position 30 or above, i.e., lower rank, declines to almost zero in the testing data but is still relatively high in the training data. This suggests that, when rankings are not optimized, consumers end up having to search further. Turning to bookings, the right panel of Figure 3. Color online. Clicks and bookings in the training data as a function of average Expedia position. Notes. The figure shows the...
What is it? Shows the probability of clicking, position, the higher position, lower, yeah.
relationship between the position of a hotel and the probability of it being clicked, left panel, and being booked, right
They're
panel.
the same. This is the
Each
same
dot corresponds to a position with
we
unfilled
had
dots
in the
referring to the
Megan's
training
paper
data
too.
and filled dots referring to the testing data. In the right panel, the booking probability for the training and testing data are on separate axes, left and right axes, respectively, as the testing data oversamples searches that conclude in booking. Probability of the observed outcome given Figure 4 shows similar patterns. The booking rate declines more rapidly as a function of rank in the testing than the training data, and low-ranked hotels are sometimes booked in the training data but almost never in the testing data. Point 23. 4.2 Estimation. We now discuss how we estimate our model of search and choice. As discussed in section 2, our model features two indices per hotel with the following specifications. SIGT beta SXJT plus F, RJT, plus XISJ plus preaged plus SIGT. UAGed UXJT plus AJ plus preaged plus postaged. 8. Note that we now include a T subscript to denote the impression in which a given hotel is shown to consumers. To facilitate estimation, we take the shocks postaged and epsilon S. Aged, in addition to preaged, to be distributed at Gumbel. We also assume that the observed hotel characteristics, including price, are exogenous conditional on the hotel fixed effects. AJ.24 Note that rankings are exogenous by construction in the training data because they are randomized. We estimate the model via maximum likelihood. In order to write the likelihood of each consumer's observed click and purchase outcomes, we proceed in 3 steps. First, we exploit a convenient property of the Gumbel distribution to obtain a closed form for the outcome probability for any given search sequence. Results. We fit our double index model to the training data set by maximum likelihood. Table 5 presents the results. The first 2 columns of the table present coefficients and standard errors for the search index, whereas the last 2 columns present coefficients and standard errors for the utility index. First, notice that, as expected, the rank position coefficients in the search index tend to decrease with position.
Alright, I think it's good enough. Then there's the rest of the results. Yeah, I got it. They have data and they studied. Most of the paper is about that. Yeah. Alright. Thanks for watching, guys. I have to go. Wish me luck, like always.